Looking for real stories that lift you up? Welcome to Inspire and Impact, the podcast where purpose meets perseverance. This is where transformation begins and your story continues.
Welcome to the Inspire and Impact podcast channel. I'm your host, Dana Rosenstein. Today I have the honor of interviewing Andre Paradis. Andre, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Absolutely. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
I'm very excited about this interview. You have a very impressive background. I know you used to be a professional dancer. You worked with some really big names that everybody knows, like Prince, Paula Abdul, or Michael Jackson. That's extremely impressive. And you've also been a auto body mechanic shop owner, and now a relationship coach. You've done the rounds. You definitely already multiple lives in this lifetime.
Yeah, I call it the three phases of my life, just as it develops, my interests, what I wanted, what I was shooting for kept changing, but all led me to this time, honestly. My entire life led me to here, unmistakably.
You share a little bit about that? Like, what inspired you? How did you go from being a professional dancer to a body shop owner to a relationship coach? Can you share that story? Like, how did you get to where you are today?
So really quickly, I discovered as a teenager, I went to a private high school and you could do ballroom dancing for PE. And a young girl asked me to join her because you have to sign as a couple. And I was kind of a dork. I was invisible. I was really completely invisible. And she asked me to, can you come? You want to dance with me? We could do some. I remember thinking, cute little thing. I remember thinking, I get to hold her in my arms. Yeah. But when we started class, maybe a week and a half later, excuse me, my first class, I discovered I could dance. Like whatever the teacher taught, I could just do it. So I went from invisible, and in about 4 months, like the start of the class, all the girls wanted to dance with me because I could do it. The guys were struggling. I became the teacher's assistant. And honestly, it's the only thing I wanted to do. It kind of lifted, I was a sad kid, lifted my spirits. It kind of gave me dopamine. It just made me feel alive. And I decided that's all I wanted to do. My parents were devastated. I was supposed to go to school. I'm like, you're lifting my spirit. This is what I want to do. And they fought against it all the way till I got to Michael Jackson. And all of a sudden, he got that from me. And now they're taking credit for life. It's kind of funny. That's how that started. But I was always in personal development my entire life. So when I stopped, my wife and I, she was one of my students, and we've been together for a few years, and we got married. And when we decided to start a family, I was not going to be absent. I was not going to be in a different country. I was not going to be not present to raise my kids. It was very important to me because that was my life. So completely pivoted my entire life and stopped traveling and grounded myself by opening a shop in Los Angeles, an auto body shop, which was fantastic because it allowed me to buy a house and be present. Get this, it's impossible in Los Angeles, but my business was 6 miles from my house, 6 minutes from my house. Right. And the school was 2 blocks away for the kids. So both my wife and I, throughout their entire my kids' life, were at every parade, every recital, every performance, every whatever, not just her, me and her. That was important to me. So that was sort of phase 2 of my life. Throughout this entire thing, personal development, because I'm a curious brain. I want to learn stuff. I want to know everything. And that's just my brain. I'm just insatiable for knowledge. And 18 years ago, 2008, 2006, I ended up invited at a workshop because in the world of personal development, even though there's a lot of people here in Los Angeles, it's kind of you keep running into the same people. So I get invited to a workshop, it's on me. If you want to come, that'd be great. And I go, sure, of course, I'll be there. What's it called? Understanding Women. Understanding Women. Anyway, so I thought it was going to be cute. Really thought it was going to be cute, right? Be nice and blah. But I didn't, I had an ease with the ladies because I think I'm artistic and easygoing, but I thought it was whatever. Went in there thinking it was going to be cute. I walked in this place on Saturday morning with 400 people in the space. And I'm thinking, you could energetically be like, there's something going on here. This isn't cute. 400 people in the ballroom. And sure enough, at the end of the workshop, my brain exploded. I was all over the wall. I understood that I realized I knew nothing about women. I mean, I literally slipped off my chair 7 times over the course of the event, like the stuff that you have no idea. And I had no idea. Now you know, the way they operate, the way they process things, the way everything, is driven through their feelings that we don't understand because we do anyway. So the things we don't know is insane. So that at the time scared the life out of me, because you understand that at that time we're married 8 years or so and have 2 little kids. Well, everything's fine. I'm not looking for this information. We're not struggling that way. But I realized if I knew nothing about women, that also meant I knew nothing about my wife. And to me, that was a huge liability. That was like, I was not going to be a statistic because I didn't know what I'm doing there. Do you know what I mean? Understand, I have 4 siblings, all divorced 2-3 times. You know what I mean? One's on 4. I think it's ridiculous. So again, for me, it was the fear of being a statistic because I didn't know. That was impossible for me. So I dove in, and 3 years later, opened Project Equinox and started teaching, and until it took me over completely. And now that's my mission in life, to help people understand why it's so complicated out there, because we live in modern times where we liberated everything and everyone. Everybody all has a choice. You can do whatever you want, men and women. Should be easier. It should be more fair, right? We even out the playing grounds, right? We like soften the men and empower women, right? It should work better. It doesn't. Not for love dynamics, not for relationships. So even though it sounds good on paper, the actuality is everyone's struggling. And if you follow the culture, chances are you will never be able to get into a healthy relationship, or one that's going to last a lifetime. Just saying. So this is just the data. That's not my opinion. It's the research and the data, the interviews, of not only my own stuff, but I stand on the shoulders of 5 masters in the field. I studied extensively, and there's all the data is there. There's a reason why all this is complicated. But we all think it should be better. And people are confused. Women are confused. Men are confused. Women think, I have everything. I'm no trouble. How come nobody wants to date me? And the guys are like trying to be nice guys and be ashamed of being masculine. And it's not working. Women don't want those guys, and men don't, the actual men that women want, the masculine one, don't want masculine energy women. So it's just, the whole thing is a ridiculous shit show. Just saying. Good morning. That's how I start.
Thank you for all that information. That's really good. I mean, you talk a lot about statistics, and I was doing some research and getting some stats to be prepared for this podcast. And according to the Rising Singlehood source, about 40% of U.S. adults ages between 25 to 54 are unpartnered. It's either, people are getting married later in life, people are focused on their career first before getting married, and then a big shift in priorities. So 40% of adults from 25 to 54 have been, without a partner. That's a really huge statistic. I mean, from all your knowledge and experience, like, why do you think the number is so high?
Again, we tell women that they should be boss babes, first, and be strong, independent, and powerful, because you can't trust men with toxic, with dangerous, with cheaters. Really? That's going to help you? Because there are these men, but that's not men. That's what I call boys. And boys make about 30% of the population out there right now. The dangerous one, 3%. But women, those are the guys who cheat, lie, scam, con, hurt, right? So boys, not men. But the culture has have everyone believe that, you can't trust men, so you should be strong, independent. And by the time they get to 30 something, the ladies are like, realize money doesn't make them happy. Their job is killing them, right? They're strapped financially. They're in debt up to their ears. They want help. They want support, and they also want companionship, it's in relationships, but they can't attain them because they're completely grounded into their masculine energy, and the man that they want who would come and help them and be man about it, uninterested in masculine energy women. And women don't get that. I'm no trouble. How come nobody wants me? Because you're too masculine. It's not your fault. You were raised that way. You were told since day one to be strong and independent. That's fantastic. But if you don't balance both, right, you get stuck on one side. If you can't change gear at the end of the day and become a woman in the world so that men can see you and be magnetized by you, that's the problem. But everybody's raised to be masculine, and all the guys have been raised to be nice guys and sweet and talkative and vulnerable. And women hate those guys because they don't feel safe with them. They put them in the friend zone. It's not working. None of it is working. So back to nature, back to what makes sense. And that's my work, right? to kind of realign people up with what works better. That's all I'm doing.
So like you mentioned before, like you work with like the PAX programs and Dr. Pat Allen, who are like experts in the field of relationships.
And
How do their teaching shape your approach to like gender intelligence and communication?
so it's interesting. So every one of these masters that I work with have a different like specialty. Alison Armstrong was all about anthropology and our instinct that drive us. We think we're beyond those. Your instinct is driving you daily. And you don't even know it. You don't even know it. And that's a fascinating discovery. Shanti Felhan in the South is all about love and respect, the dynamics of love and respect, where men need respect first, to love anybody. And women need to feel love first before they can respect anyone, right? So there's a huge machine around all this that as when you decode it, it explains everything and it makes things flow. But specialty in that field, Esther Perel in New York City, she's a French therapist for 30 years. And, for her work, body of work is all about intimacy, why people stay together, why people cheat, deep research into the human psyche and these dynamics that fascinating because it's not logical. It's really it's psychological, right? To be but a huge, into understanding and the human dynamic of sexuality. And then Dr. John Gray, he's the one who coined the term gender intelligence, and he got so much flack for it. He stopped using it. I think it's perfectly perfect. And I'm using it. Gender intelligence is understanding the other gender. So if you're a woman, you want to be in a relationship with a man and you don't understand men, they confuse us. We confuse you. Go find out why we operate the way we do, what motivates us, why we do what we do. It's all again based in anthropology and our instinct. It doesn't make us wrong. It makes us men, right? And so if you understand men better as a woman, get this. When I teach women the instinct of men, the operating system, the things that work, the things that don't work, about 50% of everything you take personally with a man falls off. And instead of seeing a big misbehaving, hairy woman, because you think men are a version of you, we're not, right? You actually see men for who they are and the beauty of everything that we instinctively want to provide, protect, cherish, give support, right? I'm just gender intelligence, ladies, go find out. And then, your life with every man in your world will be different. Your father, the guys you work with, your children, if you have male children, like everyone, right? So it's a different life, just understanding that. Gender intelligence. Same with men. I go, you want to be with a woman long-term and she complains that you're not present, go find out what she needs instinctively, because that's really what it is. She can explain it. It's in her body. And then we can learn to bring out the best in her, and then we can start dancing together, right? So that gender intelligent, I think it's a beautiful, perfect term, and it triggers people. I don't care. It's stupid. And the last one is Dr. Pat Allen here in Los Angeles. I spent 3.5 years with her in a small room with 3 or 4 other people, privately, getting 48 years as a therapist, a family, child, marriage therapist. She's seen everything. She taught us everything. And so that whole cocktail of masters, on top of it with my own research, it kind of becomes, there's a dimension beyond it, I want to say. When these things all connect, like now there's a different understanding of the whole thing. So that's where I'm coming from. Like now my opinion is all the work. And I got here because the more I learned, the more I realized there was more to learn. And I'm still learning today. I'm still researching every day. Like it's the human condition is fascinating and, complicated in these days. So I'm helping people decode this stuff. And, I don't know if you know this, but on the other side, some of my clients, because I'm an ordained minister, I married them myself. Right. So that's like me showing off here, right? The stuff works. I go from, my clients for not understanding any of this. And then 2 years later, get married and they say, we're together because of you. So I flew to Texas last summer and to Vegas to marry couples. So the stuff works again, because it's more lined up with nature and what always worked in a modern way.
That's like really amazing that you do that. I think what you do is really important. I think there's definitely been like a breakdown in society.
Absolutely.
People being single. I'm hearing like more and more like people say, hey, I don't need a man, or
yeah, that's going to work. That's going to work for you. That's great. Keep saying that. Meanwhile, 95% of the infrastructure is run by man. Mechanics are men. The guy who built the house is a man. The air conditioning you enjoy is built by man. everything that was invented, washing machine, dishwasher, invented by man to make ladies more comfortable. That's kind of our job. You don't even know men, really. Like, you can't turn around without the man fixing or managing something, especially the infrastructure. Electricity, power, water, where do you think that comes from? The classes. So, I mean, seriously, I find that ridiculous, but it's out there, right? All day long. Oh, no, man. Okay. And then men would go, fine, see ya. Get this. Statistics. I'm a king of statistics. The new statistic of this generation right now, the young men between the age of 18 and 30, this moment, right? 63% of them want nothing to do with women. Nothing. They don't want to date them. They don't want to see them. They don't want nothing. They don't want to spend money on them. Nothing. Because they're tired of being disrespected, pushed down, and be told they're not needed. And women are very disrespectful. And one of my buddies at the gym, he's like 5'5", little guy, walked up to this girl in a club, and before he said hi, she's like, "I don't date short guys." What the hell? So women are mean and crass. They think it's funny. The guys are like, fine, forget it. So 63% of men do not date, do not want to date, want nothing to do. These ladies, that's a problem. And that's not cute. You know what I mean? And so this has to change. If we want the culture to recalibrate, going back to healthy families, I mean, we have to stop just separating and creating hatred and separation, between men and women. Just saying, that's what's not working. Oh, did I just go off a little bit? I'm sorry.
No, you were saying. I mean, I agree with what you're saying. We definitely change. That's why we need people like you to help people to get back together. I think a lot of relationship coaching, friend, needed more now than ever.
Absolutely. I think so. Yeah. Because, again, more statistics, right? Like for both men and women, on both sides, right? Men, when their love dynamic works, they're healthier, they're happier, they make more money, they live longer, like right? So we're made to be pair bond. And I'm in Los Angeles, right? A bunch of people here with a ton of money. And if their love dynamic isn't in place, they can't figure it out. They feel like failures. It's that important. Your primary love dynamic, or the quality of your love life determines the quality of your life. That's how huge it is. That's the first thing that determines the quality of your life. But we separate, men on shit and, girls are boss babes. And okay, that's the new normal, but it's not working. It's not working. So if we're going to do something that works, we have to rethink it a little bit. That's what I'm talking about.
You mentioned before that the more you don't want to do something, the more it becomes something you want to do. How's the mindset of embracing discomfort shape the way you do your coaching?
Again, you understand that it's out of your comfort zone that you stretch and expand and learn. So most people like to stay comfortable. I always say, I don't learn anything when I'm comfortable. I learn something when I step out of the box of what I know, what I'm comfortable with. So I spend a lifetime just pushing the boundaries, every time. I mean, this is when I started personal development, when I realized that the power to choose the knowledge, the swag, the confidence comes from breaking through my fears and stepping into discomfort. That became a lifestyle. And I made it so seriously. And I still do it today. If there's something I don't want to do, I instantly have to go do it. The more I don't want to do it, the more I'm like, damn, okay, fine. Because every time I push through fears and discomfort, I always come out the other side. I did it, right? It's never as bad as I thought it was going to be. On top of that, it's more, it wasn't so bad. It's pretty good. I managed, confidence, swag, build my character. And so life is on the other side of your fear. You got to step in and lean in and, my motto is get comfortable with being uncomfortable. This is how you get to the other side and discover who you are, what you're made of, and really what your superpower is, because we all have some superpower, and you'll only discover it when you stretch. So people that come to me, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm really passionate about transforming how society understands both men and women. Well, what's one cultural narrative about gender roles do you believe is doing more harm than good?
Equality. We have this thing about, equality, so the feminist movement is about, opportunity for ladies. You know, you want to get out of the house and work? Here you go. Channels all open. Women have proven now the past few decades that they can do anything a man can do. Great. No one cares, by the way. But sure. And what happened is the movement kept changing. So it's no longer a matter of helping women make choices or having choices. Now it's anti-male paradigm. And part of that is the separation that you see everywhere, right? So equality has come to be understood now, right? Equal rights, equal pay. That's all fine. That's what I'm talking about. But it kind of transpired into something like men and women are the same. So a man has to be more like a girl to be a good man, and a woman has to be more like a man to be a good woman. Equality, right? Empower the women, soften the man. That's what's not working. Because in nature and everything that works in every species, there's polarity. There's yin yang, there's black white, there's positive, negative, there's masculine and feminine, there's male and female. Everything in the world is polarized. Everything that multiplies is polarized. Everything that flourishes and multiplies. And we're going to take men and women and we can do this. We neutralize it. And what happened is if you man on man, you collide, you fight. That's the work that I do, help people with that stuff. If you female on female, as in energetically, right, you collapse. Nothing happens. The polarity is still the gig. It's still the name of the gig. And I'll give you an example of this that has nothing to do with gender, by the way. All the relationships that flourish, that makes sense, are polarized. So right here, there's a couple of guys that I know in Dayton Point here in Los Angeles who have like workshops. They build workshops of personal development. Not a big stretch. That's my world. But get this. One guy is extroverted, right? He's the guy on stage. He's the guy with the microphone. He's the guy who talks to everybody. He opens all the doors, right? He's extrovert. That's his personality. That's who he is. He's good at it, right? His business partner, there's two of them, right? Exact opposite. He's introverted, wants nothing to do with the stage. He would die if you put him on the stage with the mic. He would die. He doesn't want to talk to people, doesn't like people. He wants nothing to do about any of that, right? Introvert. He likes to be in the office, do the research, and then create the content, right? He's the builder. So completely polarized, both of them, but put them together, tons of money, right? Male and female relationships, all relationships are a version of that. The ones that work are always polarized. Is there anything more opposite to a man than a woman? Polarization. So that's the concept. Equality kills everything. It doesn't work. We don't know why we're there after a while. There's no juice, and people like slip away, and they slip away, and they slip away because we just that. Anyway, you see what I'm saying? That's the big one that everybody's blind to. Because on paper, equality sounds great, yeah. But with love, it works with by the career and money. It doesn't work in a relationship.
So did you have a particular aha moment in your life where you felt the need to start teaching people about relationships, like having healthy relationships, better relationships?
Well, it happened when I learned this, when I was in a workshop, when I realized I knew nothing about my wife. To me, that was insane. It was, again, a huge liability. So that's when I dove in. I was doing all of that, by the way, just for us. That was for us to not be a liability. It had nothing to do with it. It was not a business plan. That's not what I planned at all. I owned a car shop, for God's sakes. And I thought it was going to be the rest of my life. Excuse me. So it's the more I discovered, the more I learned, the more I discovered what's not working. And I actually could see the future coming. This is going to get worse and worse and worse. And sure enough, so we're here. And it started happening with people coming after me, right? I don't understand this. How come she's like this? Why does he do this? Oh, blah, blah, blah. And it started, people had light bulb moments and stopped blaming each other for our differences and started embracing our differences and putting them together, right? Like the magic is, as a man, I have my strengths. My wife has a completely different set of, strengths, right? But we put them together. Woo! Fantastic. We create a legacy in a family. You know what I mean? But when there's no equality in that, right? I come from a world of dancing. Look behind me, right? My wife and I ballroom dancing. There's no equality in this. There's complementary. I lead her with sensitivities that allows her to be vulnerable to my leadership because she trusts me and I'm not going to hurt her. And I take her on an adventure on the dance floor. Right? Like together, there's a yin yang. Right? And by the way, as I lead the dance with sensitivities, because I could hurt her, otherwise she won't want to dance with me, just like a relationship. Right? She's not passive in any way. She has to hold her frame. otherwise, in order to dance with me, right? So she's not passive, and she's doing everything backwards in high heels and a dress. That's not, that is not passive. It's different. But unless she does, I can't lead her. Again, we mix that together, magic, right? We get a beautiful journey on the dance floor. So our lives is that way. And it's what's more natural that works better. And there's a way to do this in the modern way, right? People accuse me of, should go back to the 50s. I mean, that's not what I'm saying. The hell? It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's a modern way to do this if you want a long-term healthy relationship and family. That's all. And it's not that complicated. It's just everything that's out there is getting in our way. Everything that's out there is putting people against each other instead of coming together. So
how do you explain to women that independence and interdependence are not the same thing when it comes to building up like a long-term relationship?
I mean, that's the thing. So I was actually I was going to do a video this morning about this, that I will after we're done. But, if you understand his apology, again, nobody's going to like this, right? If you're going to be triggered, that's fine. But this is not my opinion. Again, it's the reality and it's how things are. That women are weaker and smaller in statute, right? Men are bigger and stronger. Women are smaller and weaker, right? Men are the protectors. Women are the nurturer, right? So that's just nature. But part of being smaller and weaker has you dependent on people around you, right? So the best dependency as a woman, as a cave woman, think back to the cave woman days, right? A woman in the world alone in the field is dead. A woman alone in the world can't make it. She's going to get eaten by the bear or a tiger or, taken by the next tribe and used, right? So women know this. So what's the best thing to survive, and to thrive is to find yourself a big old strapping man who's going to put you into his teepee, go hunt, give you a chicken leg, and keep you safe. That's your ultimate protection. So women are dependent on man that way. But if there's no man, they depend on each other. They come together in groups and communities. You know what I mean? And it's how women feel safe, because in a pack, the chance of you getting eaten, you're not alone in the field. You're in a pack, right? It's different energy. So interdependence is understanding the dance between men and women, and the dance within women and women. If you're going to be without a man, there's that community stuff, that connectivity, that a woman needs to feel part of something. Again, alone in the world, she's cooked. So instinctively, we forgot that, we don't think about it this way, but that's the pull, and my clients are like, I'm done with men. I'm sick of men. I'm not doing any of this. And I go, okay, fine, cute. Okay. And 2 months later, the guy keeping up work is really cute. And it starts again, right? We're compelled to pair bond, men and women. It's just that we're not taught how to do this. And what we now believe is better and right doesn't work. Let's undo this, right? Back to nature. I'm just saying.
So, I mean, you were kind of like talking about before how like masculine men are repelled by, masculine energy in women.
Yep.
What advice can you give to women who are, very successful in business, like they need to have their own business and they're very successful in a company, that if they still want a masculine man, but they're still successful like in business and stuff?
Yep. There's a couple of layers here, because the more successful a woman is, the more she wants a successful man. Yeah. Are you familiar with hypergamy?
No.
Hypergamy is an instinct in women, which means that in order to respect her mate, he has to be on her level or better than her. A woman has to look up to a man in order to respect them, right? So example of this is a nurse can date another nurse and marry another nurse, or a doctor or a surgeon, right? But she cannot instinctively, again, it sounds terrible, but it's just instinct. She cannot date the guy who works in the kitchen. She would look down at him. You see it? Like, you're laughing, but you get it instantly, right? She would look down at him. She's more powerful. She's more, right? She can't respect that. So women want equal and better to them, somebody on their level. What happens is when you make a, 6-figure and you're all that, and you need a man to meet you up here, the pool is this big. The man who are making 6 figures plus, that are tall, 6-pack, 6 feet, 6-inch, right? Or 0.02%. So all the women who are boss babes, they're everywhere, want the one guy, right? The 5% of men that exist, and look, pass over the rest of the men, And the problem with that is the guys that are on top that they want first to have plenty of options, right? What makes you special to him when he has options coming at him all day long? These guys actually, in most cases, don't even need to commit to women. They have so many options. They have so much fun because women throw themselves at them because he's got everything that everybody wants. So women in not understanding hypergamy and really what this sets them up in a fishing in a very small pond. This is the statistic we're talking about, right? Between the age of 25 and 44, 50% of women by 2030 will be single or childless because of that. Hypergamy. It's kind of a trick of nature that sort of backfired. Let's talk about it. It's dangerous, right? This is just not working. And ladies, they end up, alone with cats over the age of 45, wondering what happened to their lives. Sad.
It is sad. And what you're saying is really true, because I talked to women that were business owners and they only want a man that's going to be more successful than them or equal to them. I hadn't heard that word before, but I've talked to women. So I think what you're saying is really true. And it's kind of sad because that's just, people limit their options.
You know what I mean? And they don't really know it's happening. They just think, they just see one good guy who's going to think she's fantastic and, become a power couple. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. It's so rare. It's not even on the radar. So that's important to know, right? To maybe rethink everything. So again, I'm not saying we have to disempower women. I'm saying you have to understand the dance, and if you want companionship, right? Instead of a guy bigger than you, stronger than you, again, hypergamy, if you're going to fight that a little bit, right? There's a lot of good guys all around who, blue collar workers who make a ton of money, but you want the executive. One of my friends is an electrician for the city of Los Angeles. You know how much money he makes? It's insane with all the benefits. Oh, but it's just an electrician. They want CEOs. They want, entrepreneurs. Yeah. There's a bunch of guys out there who can keep the whole system working, by the way, make a fortune. But he's a blue collar. Seriously. So ladies, just rethink this whole damn thing. Otherwise, you're going to be the statistic. 25, 45, 44 with no child and no marriage. And then on the other side of 44, it's a very lonely rest of the second part of your life. That's what's dangerous. That's what's sad. Is on the other side of, the second half of your life without relationships and children is rather sad. Just, what do you get up in the morning for? Go to your job? Come home to your cat? That's sexy? I mean, and I'm saying this not to be an ass. This is what I see every freaking day. And there's a way to switch this. You can be 45 years old and we can readjust the energy, we can recalibrate you and have you being a magnet to men again. Because men, as men get older, they actually want relationship even more. That's another thing nobody knows. So men don't want to be left alone when they get older, right? So there's a whole lot of men out there, ladies, for all of you, all of all ages, that they want to be in partnership with. But you have to see that they're there as opposed to the picture in your head that you idealize. And that's what I see all the time. It's a little bit.
I've now been working with hundreds of women and men in relationships and coaching and stuff like that. What do you see as some of the biggest misconceptions women have about men and, one of the biggest, same thing with men and women?
Again, it's gender intelligence or the lack of understanding of gender intelligence. We confuse women a lot because to women, most women, we appear cold, distant, shallow, disconnected, not present. That's the paradigm of testosterone, and being a male has us move up in our heads and calculate everything day to day in order for us to survive. So men live in their heads, right? And women live in their bodies if they're feminine. Again, the yin yang is that, right? Again, so when men are in their heads, they appear disconnected, they appear cold, they appear selfish. No, it's just constantly plotting and planning, right? For us to survive, if it's us. So if you don't make them wrong for that, it's just not understanding it for women, feels kind of disconnected and, they feel abandoned or left out. But there's a way to pull them in. There's a way to do this, ladies. That's part of the work that I teach, right? There's a way to pull him out of his head and present and understanding, he wants to provide, protect, cherish. He wants to do all this stuff instinctively, right? How do you pull it down how do you pull it out of his head? That's the magic. And then again, if you understand his instinct, then he wants to fix, he wants to provide, he wants to protect instinctively. You don't have to manipulate him. Masculine men just want to do that. That's the boys. Again, know who you're dealing with. But the masculine man just respond to that like incredibly well. But if a woman stays in her head, like a man, this is the disconnect. We don't care. We don't see you when you're in your head. You're cold. You're a brick, right? Men are attracted and sensitive to feminine energy, period. If you understand, even men have no need and no instinct to help other men, to provide, protect other men, right? And like at all. That's not what works for us. You know what I mean? It's completely done. Like it's his job to get his life together, not my job. You know what I mean? I'll help him because he's my buddy, but he's got to take the brunt of it, right? So when a woman is a masculine, we don't see you. We don't care. We need the feminine magnet. So again, the work is for most women who are masculine is to get back into your body, right? That's the work that I do. Get you back into your body, back into your heart, right? Where you become a beacon of warmth and radiance. And then men show up. Women are nicer to you. You know, children smile and dog comes sniffing. I mean, there's a simple magic to this. Feminine energy is a woman's superpower, not your masculinity. Your masculinity is irritating to the men that you want, and it can set you up for life of loneliness. Look around. Don't listen to what I'm saying. Just look around. It's everywhere.
So some people like in relationships, they get caught up in the drama triangle. And that could be like, a popular relationship conflict. How do people recognize that they're stuck in a drama or a triangle? And what can they do out of it?
Yeah. So again, people come to me, men and women, when they realize they keep doing the same thing. Like they keep making different choices, they think, but it's the same result in the end, right? So that's all based, this is the psychological part of my work. Right. It's all based in childhood. The decision you made about yourself, the world, people, and life for your life circumstances. A woman who has in her head, programmed in at 5 years old, because it's always 5 years old, 5, 6, 7. By 7, you cook, by the way. We're already programmed. And we go and repeat, we prove the program. So if you believe that men don't care, you're going to energetically attract men who will treat you like they don't care. And you'll try to fix them. But you can't fix anybody, right? So it's when you caught in the loop, you realize it's your programming that you're completely blind to because you forgot about it. But again, what's the belief? Men are untrustworthy, women are crazy, can't trust anyone, relationships are hard, the world is dangerous, I got to do it myself, I'm not safe, I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, like you name it, right? I'm not capable for the man. So if that's your drive, that's what you concluded per the fact that you weren't loved right, this is where you're going to go and prove to yourself. Like it's your subconscious is driving everything, and we're not conscious of it. And again, when you see the loop, and then you realize it's something behind this. It's not the world. It's not your choices. It's what you believe. So I always say I can't get anybody in a healthy relationship to within up the baggage of the past, and it's primarily your childhood and the relationships that came after to prove whatever it is that you believe about yourself. And that's how we undo the loop. If you realize that you're not broken, you're just a product of your past, that means you're fixable, because that's fixable, right? And then what's the life of your dream? What's that look like? Because you could get all of that, but you have to do the work. And most people resist the work. They're afraid of the work. They don't have the courage to do the work. I get it. But the ones who get the life that they want, step in and with curiosity and fearlessness and, ready. It takes courage. It takes energy. It takes time. And it takes a little bit of money. But I always say, what else do you have to do all day? It's your life. How do you want to, how do you want to do this? How do you want to end this show? It's your choice.
Another question I have, similar what you were talking about, is oftentimes people get triggered in relationships. A lot of times it's not even what's happening in the present time. They're being triggered from something in the past, like a past relationship or from their family.
Yep.
How do people overcome their being triggered by something that's happened?
Again, that's the work, right? That's the work is you got to dive in and really go in depth with your life as a kid. And, everybody gets to it, when I have my first consultation with people, and in 15 minutes, we get right to it. It's that simple. Now, I've been doing this for a while, right? So it's easy for me, but literally in 15 minutes, we'll figure out what happened in childhood. What's the decision that you made for the fact that you weren't loved right, or you're no daddy, bad daddy for the girls, or, narcissistic mother for the boys. That just sets you up for the rest of your life. And so understanding that and understanding we can clean that up. So you're not doomed, is what I'm saying. People come at me with, I think I had more lady, she's 40 something, and feel so bad for her. She goes, I've had, it's again, cycling, men are worth, no, she's not lovable. So she kept attracting men who made her feel not lovable. So man after man. And at 40 something, when she came to me, she said, maybe some people just aren't meant to be in relationships. I'm like, stop. Because if you believe that, yeah, you're done. Stop. No, you just got in a loop. You got to figure out how you got there, and we clean it out. But to believe she really was going to be single and, live in a small apartment and just go to work every day until she died. Because she was about to give up. And, I never end up working with her. So I don't know how she's doing now, but what a terrible, thought. Maybe I'm just meant to be alone. Ouch. Unnatural. I'm saying it's unnatural.
And that's where someone like you comes in, because you can be that loving mirror, though people don't even realize that they have these beliefs. Because I think a lot of people walk around unconsciously.
Absolutely.
I'm not lovable. I'm not good enough. And that's the energy that they're portraying in the world. And that's what they're getting back.
Exactly. I mean,
and they don't realize it.
They don't realize it. That's the thing. Again, when people are ready, when they realize the loop, this is when it's time to step in. And again, and everybody, this is actually fascinating, is everybody gets a chance at doing their work. Everybody gets knocked down on their faces, typically midlife, right? Because you could push past your trauma when you're a kid. You could push past your trauma when you're in your 20s. You just push past, 30s, and midlife, smack in the face. Now you collapse and you realize you are stuck. And so in that moment, realize you don't have the tools, you don't have the willpower. It's not enough. It didn't change anything because the programming is still in place. You get a chance to do the work. Everybody gets a chance to do the work. And the magic here is, are you going to be brave enough to do it? But everybody, gets knocked down in a place where they realize they have a second chance, but not everybody takes the second chance. And then they'll, like that lady I just talked about, just be alone the rest of your life, because I guess some people aren't made to be in relationships. Hurts. It hurts.
I mean, you talked about sometimes people, they have power struggles in love relationships. So is there like a core issue that's behind these power struggles? Sometimes people are controlling, they want to have things their way. And I see that happening also more and more now, that people have bigger egos, like things have to be my way or the highway. I see a lot of people, my way or the highway, it's
right.
like,
No, I mean, it's, again, if you're going to talk about interdependence, it's really doing the dance together. You know what I mean? But if your woman wants to stay independent and understand man will naturally be independent, right? That's how we operate. Independent with autonomy. That's why you can't tell a man anything. You can't change him. He lives by his code, his values, and he's independent and autonomous. But when you put independent and autonomous on the other side, man on man, this is where we collide, because who's in charge? Who's driving this boat? Who's captain this boat? Because, by the way, name me one country where there's two kings. None. There's a president and a vice president. There's no two presidents. There's no two kings. There's no two pilots. There's a pilot and a co-pilot. Because if both grab the wheel, the plane crashes. This is what we teach in our culture, and it's why it's not working. So it's the dance again, the masculine feminine dance, right? And the power struggle comes from women thinking they're equal to man in the sense of controlling the dynamic, right? And making him act right. Women think they're going to make men act right, talk more and more sensitive, more vulnerable. And the moment they do and achieve that, they dump the guy because they can't respect him because he's weak. That's instinct coming back to slap you in the face. So again, be careful what you buy into and whatever your girlfriend is saying in the culture of the feminist, because it's keeping everybody single. And men are just stepping out. They don't even want to deal with it. Tired of being disrespected and being told they're wrong, toxic, dangerous, and cheaters. Okay. They're like, fine. That's the data, right? 62% want nothing to do with ladies. Sad.
Another popular topic that people talk about a lot, being in relationships with a narcissist. How do you know if you're dating, in a relationship with somebody who's a narcissist, and what do you do about it?
Beautiful question. So narcissists, interesting. People who are empaths, right? The people who want to help everybody, don't want anybody to feel bad. They don't want anybody to feel like they did when because both empaths and narcissists come from the same beginnings. Terrible life in the beginning, terrible childhood, terrible circumstances, not love. But an empath will actually go into the world as an adult and try to make sure that nobody ever feels that way. And they often are over-giving, over-loving, because they know what it's like to be abandoned emotionally or, right, and not be loved. So that's how an empath is built, through trauma, and they try to help the world not go there, other people not live through his feelings. Well, a narcissist has had his butt kicked in life as well, men or women, but instead of empathy, they go, forget them all. I'm going to take mine. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to take. So it comes from a place of, it's obviously an injury, but the narcissists don't give a crap. Narcissists want you to be a 0 and they're a 10. And the moment you're trying to negotiate with them, they tell you it's your fault, it's your problem, you're too sensitive, you're too this, you're too that. They make you doubt yourself, they derail you, they screw with your mind. They'll do stuff like, you never said that after you just said it. No, you didn't. And, yes, I just did. No, you didn't. But yeah, and then literally they're so insistent about, you go, did I do it? Maybe that's me. They'll make you feel freaking crazy. That's their mojo, to derail you, make you feel like a 0. That's how they control you. That's how they get everything from you. They take. Narcissists were takers, right? Normal people are givers. You know what I mean? You know a narcissist but I guess part of my work is that I have scripts to ask for correction for both men and women. Something happens, you don't like it, right? You don't put your finger in his face. You're going to start a war. That never works. That's what most people do. How do you approach a problem respectfully, calmly, right? To come across what's not working for you and ask for adjustment. I have a script, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is what you say. Do you know what I mean? So that's what works, as opposed to pointing the finger. You know what I mean? I forget where I was going with that. You were just asking the question. Bring it back.
About what do you do when you're with a narcissist?
Right. So a narcissist is, thank you. What happened? A normal person responds very well to asking for correction when you do it respectfully with the language that I teach, right? A narcissist, even if you approach him respectfully, will turn it on you. That's how you know, instantly. The narcissist will not negotiate, will not bend, will not change, and will turn it against you when you ask for correction. This is when I say, Houston, we have a problem. That you just find out you have a narcissist on your hands, man or woman, and run, get the hell out of there. It's never going to change. And the longer you stay, the more they're going to play with your mind and make you feel weaker, weirder, strange, and destroy you from the inside. But that's how they control you. And that's all they're about. They're about controlling and taking. Sad. Another layer of sadness is terrible. But you have to spot them and avoid them. It's not that hard. Excuse me.
I mean, you've worked with thousands of clients at this point. Can you maybe share 1 or 2 stories of how you help your clients and how a positive outcome?
Like I said, the people that I married, they go from, so, I mean, I'm thinking specifically of the one, God, she was abused as a child. She was abandoned. She had 2 stepdads, uncle that, took advantage of her physically. A horrible story as a little girl, completely neglected, abandoned, and abused. You know what I mean? So what happens to the little girl when she doesn't feel safe in the world, starting at 5, she mans up. She has to protect herself, right? She mans up. That's how you get a tough cookie, right? The women that are really masculine, it's not because life was good when they're little. It's because they didn't feel safe, right? No daddy, bad daddy, and whatever the hell, abuse, neglect, and abandonment issues. Some have all 3 plus sexual abuse. It's crazy. So that's how you destroy a little girl. So they have to man up and they grow in life being masculine. So she was one of them. right? She was walking around with spiked shoes and a bad attitude and protecting herself and kept attracting boys because, again, part of the cosmic joke is if you're a masculine woman, you would only attract feminine men, the boys. That's just a bad joke, right? So women who are stuck in their masculine only attract the guys who, the cheaters, the liars, the manipulators, the ones who want to take from you as opposed to give, because men want to give, provide, protect, give, right? So if you're stuck in your masculine energy, ladies, you only attract boys, you think that's men. That was her story. That was her life, one after the other. Taking advantage of her, taking her money, taking her time, taking her advice, taking her body, like just taking. And, and they're also, so she, as a masculine woman, she was compelled to help him a little bit. He just needs a little help. He needs a little push. He needs a little bit, right? It's just a taker. So what she did is she stepped in, she did the work, did the program. It's 5 months long. Started decoding her injuries. We released the trauma of her injuries. Then learned to step back into her body. She's a woman, right? A woman's essence in her body and in her heart. To live from that space, and start being vulnerable to that space, because women get hardened, right? It's dangerous to be vulnerable when you've been damaged or hurt. And then, again, because she never met a man before, she had been around boys only, never met a man. As her energy changed, became more feminine, more radiant, guess who started showing up? Man. And then she understood the nature of man, because I taught her the whole thing, like gender intelligence. This is why men do this. This is, if you say this, he'll respond with this. And I remember, I think that one of the first dates she went on, she said, I swear, if I find out that you're paying him, I'll kill you, because he said everything he said he was going to say. I'm like, I'm not a genius. He's a man. And they're predictable, as well as, the narcissist is also very predictable. You have to know what to look. So anyway, so she meets the guy who's a man, right? All of a sudden she feels safe. All of a sudden he provides, protects, shares, gives support. She's never been privy to that. And exactly a year after she met him, they went back to the place where they had met. He got on one knee and asked her to marry him. And she made it. She did the work. You know what I mean? And she's one that said, we're together because of you. I have this life because of you, come and marry us. That's when I flew to Texas. I have many of those stories, but she took the risk. She took the plunge, she took action. She leaned in, did the work. Now she has the life. I'm just saying most of us need help, especially if we've been damaged to get there. So that's all I'm saying. So my work is, as well, for me, I don't want anybody to go through what I went through as a child. All I needed, if I had, somebody to talk to see me, to hear me, one person. I just knew one person, it would have been a whole different life. So I try to be that for people. Like, it takes one person to walk you through this. It took me a lifetime to get here. I can get you there much faster. That's the offer, right? That's the work. But that's what I'm compelled to do. I'm trying to help people live the lives that they want, as opposed to get stuck in the loop and thinking there's something wrong with them. Because the more you think there's something wrong with you, there's something wrong with you. And you kind of do. Oh, there.
What a beautiful story. So thank you so much for sharing that. I know you do amazing things. I saw on your website, you have, like hundreds of testimonials of people you've helped. What's one piece of advice you give to somebody who feels stuck in their dating world? Like they feel like there's no hope, like whatever they do, it doesn't work. What's one thing they can do to start shifting their life to a more positive, route?
Again, I say kind of look at what you're thinking. Look at what you're believing in, right? Look at what, is on your consciousness. Look what you bought into. If you're a woman who decided that strong, damn, and powerful is the end all be all, right? There's a price to pay for that on the other side, right? These are my clients. So I want to say, really, for both men and women, think for yourselves. Forget the culture, forget the feminists, forget, your university teachers who teach you all the horrible stories. Forget the mother who made terrible choices with your dad. I hate when women, pick poor men, bad men. Again, they have the whole industry. There's a reason for that as well, right? Talk about a loop. But women who actually then pollute the world and their children's life with, you can't trust men and don't marry a guy like your dad. And your dad was a loser and, get independent and strong. That's how unfair is that? Because you made poor choices. You're going to pollute your kid's life. You're going to pollute their brains and set them up into fears. Ladies, stop. Just realize the choice that you made. And again, if you're struggling in a relationship, what choice are you making? What are you buying into? Are you buying into men that are toxic in natures, that they're trying to control you? And, okay, that's not going to work for you. Understand the true nature of men. Provide, protect, cherish, give support, lead, pay. That's what men do naturally, right? But you have to be in your body. You have to be feminine. You have to be radiance. That comes, and again, it's not about undoing everything you've done. It's about calibration, knowing what works. In my world, a true boss babe is a woman who can be very productive all day long. And I want to be crass, but then at the end of the day, I say, leave your balls at work and be a woman in the world. And that's how you attract men. It's the woman who can do both wins. But again, injuries often has us tilted, too masculine for a woman, too feminine as man. And that's the work. You have to be able to play both. And again, ladies, understand your masculine energy is a turnoff for masculine men. The guys that you want are not interested in your balls in his face. Simply said. Do you know what I mean? These guys are looking for feminine, warm women, traditional women, by the way. You understand that our role as men has never changed throughout the whole thing, right? Since the feminist movement, again, we're supposed to provide, protect, share, give, right? Like women want us to be traditional still. Women want traditional men. We'll show up and pay and take care of them and help them and support them, right? But they were taught by the culture to not be traditional, to refuse to be traditional. That you're better that you're better as a woman to be some guy's slave as his wife, and children will ruin your life. Is that you thinking really, or is that the bullshit that you've learned that everybody's spreading around all the time? You know what I mean? If you come in a relationship with fear, you're not going to step in. You're not going to take a chance. You're not going to get into the dance, right? And that's what doesn't work. By the way, get this. People meet each other. They move in together thinking, let's see if it's going to work out. More statistic. When you shack up, 70% of the people break up. There's no investment. There's no commitment. They're just trying it out. But they don't have that. They don't know how to dance. They don't want to, instead of learning to dance like this and really kind of lean in and be committed, they do what I call club dancing. They're just kind of, in the club, you don't touch each other. You just dance together. We're together, but we're not. We just have playing together. They don't do this. They do this, right? They don't touch each other. One turns around and now they're dancing with somebody else. No joint bank account, no sharing. Like we separate, stay 50-50. 70% of those fail because there's no investment. Right? Again, everybody knows this. Businessmen know this, right? So this stuff is scary. You can get hurt. You can get your heart broken, sure. But if you want to take a risk, you don't get any bonuses. You don't get any benefits, right? Businessmen know this. Businesswomen know this. You take a risk and it could make you or break you, right? There's always a risk. But if you don't take a risk, you have nothing ever. You never get anywhere. Yeah, this life, right in your face. So yes, there's a possibility of getting hurt. Yes, it's scary, right? But if you understand the dance, if you understand man as a woman, if you understand woman as man, if you get in the middle of the bridge, understanding each other more, genuine intelligence, and learn to dance together. And learn the tricks, learn the tools, learn the scripts, and then be able to dance.
So can you share with us who are the type of people that you work with your coaching? Do you only work with women, men, single people in relationships?
It's all of it, but mostly about 70% of my business is strong, independent women, 30 plus, who realize they don't want to do this anymore. They're tired and exhausted. Money doesn't make them happy. They're in debt. And they realize it's kind of wild, right? They never thought about this before. It happens so much. Now they want companionship because they're lonely and tired. And then some go, oh my God, I think I want children. I never thought of that before. But at 35, right? 35 forward for babies, we call that geriatric pregnancy, right? It's a whole different shit show, and again, freezing your eggs doesn't work very well. Look at the numbers. They're terrible, right? And the fact that J-Lo at 47 got a baby, there was a surrogate there. Like this, it's not that simple and it's very expensive. So if you're going to want family and babies and legacy, you want to start a little earlier. Again, watch what you believe, watch what you've bought into. And again, listen to the women who made the mistakes, right? Waited too long, become the statistic. That's pretty sad. So that's really the magic, understand and pay attention to what the second part of your life, second half of your life may be if you don't lean in and try to build a family with a good guy who's going to do everything that men do naturally: provide, protect, cherish, give them.
But how can people get in touch with you if they're interested in working with you?
No, so I'm all over the place. So you could Google my name, Andre Paradis, or Project Equinox, which is the company's name, and you'll avalanche of stuff will come out. My website is projectequinox.net. And like I said, I'm all the social media platforms under my name or Project Equinox, depending which. Again, if you research a little bit, if you go on the website, you'll find everything. But I also have two gifts for you listeners, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So my mission is to spread this to the masses. I'm trying to literally, on some level, change the world. That's the God mission. It's going to take a minute, but that's why I'm here. So I do a lot of podcasting to spread the word, spread hope. There is a way. Yes, it's doable. Ladies, men are not all toxic. Just the boys are, right? That women are not crazy, man. So to kind of decode this whole thing and to be able to work it out. So I'm podcasting like 3 or 4 a week. But I noticed I used to have my own podcast. It's typically 2 types of listeners on podcasts. And we'll let the audience kind of qualify themselves, but I call them the information seekers and the action takers. So if you're an information seeker, I'm going to send you directly to my email. If you go to Andre, Andre, coaching, the word coaching, COACHING, the number 1 at Gmail, right? And the subject box, just write irresistible book. This is for the ladies, right? If you're an action information seeker lady, Andre Coaching 1, irresistible book, I'll send you a copy of my book that I sell on my website. It's called The 5 Feminine Qualities High Value Men Find Absolutely Irresistible. This is not my opinion. This is men speaking, ladies. This is my work with men. I've been doing men's work for decades. And this is men talking. And it has nothing to do with your butt or your height or your hair color, right? It's the energy of your brain. This 5 component of your energy that they find irresistible that magnetize men your way. Good stuff. Again, I sell on my website. I'll send it to you for free. Just email me. It's a 30-page book. It's a workbook. You can print it and fill it out. It's fantastic. Information seekers, you'll learn some stuff. You'll see what I'm up to. Voila. Now, the second type of listeners are what I call them action takers. And I think you've had a couple of moments where you go, oh, wow. Like I talk and you go, wow, that resonates. So often the stuff, because I teach nature, even though it's not sexy sometimes for the culture, but it resonates. Like, so if anything I said resonated with you and you find yourself stuck in the loop and you want to talk about it, just me and you, Andre Coaching 1 at Gmail, in the subject box, just write talk now. I'll send you my calendar link, find yourself an hour that's open, and we'll have a conversation like you and I are having. In 15 minutes, we'll figure out why you're stuck, what happened. Notice, you'll know that you're not broken. There's a lot of people come at me that I'm broken. They believe they're broken, the loop. No, life, right? And if we could fix the brokenness or the idea or whatever it is that's holding you back, right? If we fix that, what's the dream? If you're young enough, is it babies and husbands? Okay, we could do that, right? If you're older, beyond babies, right? Like the long-term companionship, men want to be with women. It's more when they're older. Interesting, right? So what's the dream? And then we'll talk about stepping in. We'll talk about doing the work, right? There's different way to step into the work, the different investment levels in both time and money. So again, it's an offer, no pressure. But if you want to lean in and you're curious a little bit and you're ready to step in, Andre Coaching 1, talk now. And voila, these are my 2 gifts for your listeners.
Well, that's fantastic. I really appreciate that. I'm sure a lot of people will want to take advantage of that. We're kind of wrapping up the time for the podcast for today. Do you have any final words to say to the audience before we call it for the day?
My final was always watch what you believe in, think for yourself, forget the culture, and forget that people want to make terrible choices. We're telling you, we're keeping you in fear because fear will keep you from stepping in. And, you don't want to make the mistake and get on the other side when everything's too late. One way I say it for the ladies, right? It's very easy, past 40 to build a business, to build a life. Do you know what I mean? Very easy for, at 40, like the maturity of that and the understanding of life. It's easy to build a career after 40. It's possible to have a family to 40. If you want both, there's a certain order here. Let's talk about it. You want it all? You can have it all. My wife has it all. But we did it the other way. Not where the culture said. You see it?
Definitely. Andre, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing all your wisdom and experiences. You're definitely a very fascinating, interesting person, but not boring.
I mean, like I said, my God mission is to really help everybody with this struggle. It's sad, and it's killing our culture. When family falls apart, society and culture falls apart. Kids are not raised in a healthy family to be able to create healthy bonds and raise their own healthy family. By the way, that's part of the agenda, separate everyone. Men against women, black against white, Christian against Muslim, straight against gay. The whole thing is a shit show. Don't fall for it. Think for yourself. Ooh.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And we're closing.
And I appreciate you for helping me spread the word. You're what I call a disruptor. I'm a disruptor, which means we do these things. You do your podcast, they come on podcasts to make people think or rethink, before it's too late. That's really it. So I'm here to help. You're here to help. Thank you for helping me spread the word.
Definitely.